Ederson and Manchester City with Ederson in goal. Is it three central defenders, Glenn? Although Walker does seem...
Rico Lewis is stood on the halfway line next to Harry Kane, so that has confused it slightly.
Let's have a look. We'll see once they kick off, which they do now. Erling Haaland with the first touch of the match, playing it back to goalkeeper Ederson, who fires it left-footed downfield. Kyle Walker right up on the right wing, heads it infield. It's cleared away. Ake comes. He nods it forward, and then it's swept forward downfield by Perisic. I mean, if anything, it looks like Lewis is operating either as the left back or as the left-sided central defender, but now he moves forward into a central midfield position. Alvarez playing it through the middle. Now he has Bernardo Silva. Mahrez on the right wing. Mahrez running at the two Tottenham defenders in front of him, plays it between them, but Eric Dyer was in place there to pass it forward. And here is Son, who's scored in all four matches here between Tottenham and Manchester City. And then across comes Jack Grealish with the tackle back, where Son was approaching the edge of the penalty area. It was Grealish who arrived just to stab it back to goalkeeper Ederson, who was able to clear.
Yes, it was a brilliant run by Son there, picked up in his own half, drove 40-50 yards at the heart of the Manchester City defence, should I say, and eventually just ran out of space and options. He didn't really have anything to pass to, did he, John?
No, he didn't. A long ball played forward now for Tottenham, for Emerson Royal down the right-hand side, but City were able to deal with that, and it is Nathan Ake. Now, I must say, it does, when they're in this position, it looks as though Ake playing as the left-sided central defender and Akanji to his right. At that point, Lewis was in the left-back position, but with City in possession, Lewis has walked forward and taken up a position just to the left of Rodri, with Kyle Walker right over on the right-hand side.
It's a very fluid system, one that we're used to seeing with Pep, isn't it? And I think, as well as Rico Lewis just drifting into that centre midfield role, I think at times we'll see Kyle Walker drifting in as well. And it seems that they're playing as a bit of a five, and it's almost a 2-3, isn't it, at the back?
As Walker plays the ball out towards the left-hand side, and Jack Grealish here very much on the left wing, as Tottenham are able to win it back, with Bernardo Silva in a central position, and actually Haaland and Alvarez playing quite close together as a front two. But Emerson Royal's done well down the right-hand side, gets the cross in, although Lewis was able to go to ground and block it away. Grealish back-heels the ball across the left full-back position to Lewis, and now Lewis and Ake are passing the ball to one another. They've still not moved out of the left-back area, and eventually Ake does hit it long, but City, who are in their red and black away kit here this afternoon, the diagonal stripes with the black sides and black panel at the back of those shirts, black shorts, black and red socks. They're playing from left to right in the first half, and here is Lewis in the centre circle, in the midfield role, through to Bernardo Silva, who has his legs taken away from him by Hotspur. I think got the ball, but certainly got the man, and it's a free kick just forward of the centre circle to City.
As soon as Silva received that on the half turn, I just saw Erling Haaland making a darting run in behind Romero, and Silva could have just got his head up before contact was made and could have slipped the big man in.
That's Glenn Murray. This is 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. Free kick. Mahrez has come over here to take it, got an excellent scoring record, actually scored 2 of the goals when Manchester City came back from 2-0 down to win 4-2 just last month, just 17 days ago. So Mahrez with the gloves on, short sleeves, gloves on, coming forward, left-footed, curls it in to the edge of the area. Didn't get it right at all, actually, and was easily headed away, but Son is dispossessed. Rodri now to Bernardo Silva. His cross hits the backside of the defender, comes out to Mahrez. Mahrez near the right corner of the box, still going, it might open up, it does. He curls a shot across the face of goal, but it came off the head of Dyer, and that took it very much wide of the target, closer to the corner flag, actually, where it's out for a corner to City.
Brilliant movement by Bernardo Silva, making that run just behind Mahrez. Just drags Perisic away and opens that angle up for him to have a shot. Fortunate for Spurs, somebody got in the way.
Does make you think when City are like this, so fluid. How difficult that is for the opponents to deal with it. But we'll come back to that, because Grealish takes the corner. Ake heads it across the face of goal. Emerson Royal heads it up in the air. Akanji with a header forward, but he was leaning for it. He couldn't get to it because there were defenders in there, and it was actually quite a tame header straight at Lloris. But that was a chance.
Yes, that was a chance. It was a corner drill to the back stick, and Ake, he doesn't even have to jump to win the header, and instead of going for goal, he just feels it back into the mix. And at that point, I think it was the wrong decision. I think it should have gone for goal.
No, but City have got it back. Haaland on the edge of the area, but Tottenham white shirts quickly converged and were able to dispossess him, and Spurs should clear. That actually might have been a free kick. In fact, the ball runs behind off Emerson Royal. Bernardo Silva with a challenge. It's not a free kick at all, says Andy Madley, the referee. He says it came off the Tottenham man, and it's another corner.
And right there, I think that's why we might be seeing Bernardo Silva in the team instead of Kevin De Bruyne, because he's won possession high up 3 times already for Manchester City.
Corner's taken short this time, and then it's played back by Grealish. Bernardo Silva on the left, lovely turn, left-footed cross, half-headed away, shot from Alvarez. That's blocked inside the penalty area. Tottenham had plenty of bodies in there. There were 3 or 4 of them, and then Son is rather cynically tugged back, actually, by Akanji, as he was looking to break away, and it's a free kick, but no more than that. And Eric Dyer's had a word with referee Madley.
Yes, he has, but Manchester City's aggressiveness in their pressing is something to see, because they're really asking questions of this Spurs side right now. It's all Manchester City, and even though Spurs are at home, they're hanging on in this fixture. Final
stages in Rome in the third and final Six Nations match of the weekend. It is France are back in front. Italy 24, France 29, and there are now just over 10 minutes to go. It sounds like an absolute cracker, which I'm not sure many were necessarily expecting, but 29-24 to France, and you can hear it on Sports Extra. But come back, you can come back when it's finished. Here, City with the ball on the edge of their own penalty area. Rodri playing it back to Ederson, who passes it out up towards 31-goal man Erling Haaland. Tall, blonde, that long hair tied back, and he motors out to the left-hand side, but he's passed the ball infield. Rodri to Mahrez, first-time ball from him. Attempted flick on by Kyle Walker, who's well forward, and then Mahrez couldn't take the ball into his stride after it was won by Alvarez. And Manchester City, this Tottenham team, are being asked lots of questions by Manchester City. Spurs, who've been vulnerable here, they've lost 4 of their last 5 home Premier League matches. Up it goes to Harry Kane, who came back from an offside position, and that is a free kick to Manchester City on the edge of their own box. So Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0. We've played 7 minutes, Glenn Murray.
And I think if there's a story of this first, as we approach 8 minutes, it's that Manchester City have had 78% possession, and that is the way the game's going at the minute. I expect them to dominate possession throughout, and as we've seen, Spurs try and hurt them on the counter-attack.
So tell me again what you would call this formation in terms of numbers. Have a ponder.
In possession, I would say it is a 2-3-4-1.
2-3-4-1.
I mean, and we've got quite a good vantage point here, John.
We have. I would 2-3-4-1. Yeah. Here's Mahrez.
Are you in agreement?
I'm just having a look. I'm trying to. Have we got enough numbers there?
You can't believe it, can you?
7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, we have. Here's Ederson chipping it forward from the back.
I might have been a footballer, John, but I can get to 10.
Well, there are plenty of examples where.
Easy, John.
Yeah, here is Grealish bringing the ball forward in the centre circle, plays it to the right-hand side. Walker joins in now on the right, gives it to Mahrez down in the full-back position. Tottenham have got 2 men on him. Son and Perisic are there together. Walker now on the right-hand side. Back to Mahrez again. City currently with 4 men in the box. And then Rodri goes back to one of the 2, who are Akanji and Nathan Ake, who are very close to one another in the centre circle. Now Grealish out to the left-hand side. Bernardo Silva has just popped up over there, but he trots back into position. So if you've just joined us, no De Bruyne and Gundogan there on the bench, and still no Phil Foden, who has had a foot problem. But I think I heard Steve Crossman say just before Five Live came to us that actually he's been unwell, Phil Foden. So that's why he's not involved. As Haaland plays the ball back to Ake, and now forward to Lewis, the 18-year-old, turning, giving the ball to the right-hand side. And then Rodri drops deep, receives it from Akanji. Manchester City advancing through the middle this time with Bernardo Silva. Tottenham just drop off them, and Bernardo Silva is still going, and then lifts the ball to his right to Kyle Walker. Walker then back in field to Rodri, and City have got it 10 yards inside Tottenham territory. And Walker again with Mahrez outside him, but there's not the zip here, and Tottenham are just standing off Manchester City and quite happy to let them have possession.
Yeah, Spurs just in a mid to low block, but there's not much intensity in that press with Manchester City in possession of the football. I'd like to see a little bit more from this Spurs side, especially at home.
As we told you earlier in the afternoon, Antonio Conte is not going to be here this afternoon after that gallbladder operation in Italy this week. So we'll obviously send our best to him. And Christian Stellini is moving around in his padded coat on the edge of the Tottenham technical area, Antonio Conte's trusted assistant. The ball bounces out of play for a throw into Tottenham down in their left back position. It's not unusual for him to do this, Christian Stellini. Antonio Conte was suspended when we went to Marseille with them for the last match in the group stages of the Champions League, and they ended up thrillingly winning that match and topping the group. And they will play Milan, AC Milan, in the last 16. Milan, who play Inter tonight and are not in the best of form either, not unlike Tottenham. Although if Spurs are able to win this, they would be just 1 point off the Champions League places. Eric Dyer with the ball at the back, passing it forward towards Bentancur, and now out to the right hand side. Christian Romero up against his fellow Argentine World Cup winner Julian Alvarez this afternoon. Tottenham still with the ball inside their own penalty area. Dyer to the left hand side, and then forward from Ben Davis. That was deflected, and Manchester City are back in possession on the halfway line. City, Pep Guardiola, lots of respect for Tottenham here, very much out of the fact that they've lost all 4 times they've come here and are yet to score a goal, Manchester City, in this newly rebuilt stadium. However, Haaland trying to do something about that. Back to Bernardo Silva, lovely from Rodri, stepped into the challenge, took it away from Højbjerg, then chips it out to the left hand side. Grealish with the socks down his calves, plays it back to the edge of the box. Lewis now lifts the ball across the penalty area. Mahrez just takes a couple of steps back, takes it down. Walker whips it into the back post, and Emerson Royal with a very, very good glanced clearance away. Although I think the referee's saying that he was being fouled by Grealish, and it's a free kick to Tottenham. There
was a coming together on the back post there, but it was a important touch there from Emerson Royal as he made his way back, because as that ball was rolled back to Kyle Walker, it was a wicked ball in that corridor behind the defence and between the goalkeeper and Jack Grealish was arriving at the back post. Fortunate for Spurs, so was Emerson Royal.
Take a picture now, Glenn. You can see it. 2, 3, 4, 1. Well, when I said it, it was very much 2, 3, 4, 1. So Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0. There's another couple of numbers for you. 13 minutes played, and Manchester City are back in possession. I mean, he's been so impressive, hasn't he? Rico Lewis, born in Bury, 18 years old, at the City Academy since he was 8. This is now his 9th start this season, only his 9th start in a competitive match for Manchester City, and so flexible in terms of the way that he plays. 5 minutes to go in Rome. It is still Italy 24, France 29. The commentary is on Sports Extra. Rodri with the ball on the edge of the box. Oh, Rodri's given it away. Højbjerg is into this. Højbjerg to Kane! Harry Kane! Right foot! Tottenham lead by 1 goal to 0. And that goal takes Harry Kane to the top of the Tottenham goal-scoring tree. That's it. The record is his. It's his alone. Tottenham's leading scorer. And Harry Kane, huge smile on his face over there on the far side of the field. Fists clenched, punches the air. What a brilliant moment for Harry Kane. It's a record that he could hold for decades and decades and decades. Already, his place in Tottenham history is assured. But listen to this. There is the cheer for Harry Kane. It's a turn-up, but it's not a turn-up that Harry Kane has scored. Tottenham lead Manchester City by 1-0. Glenn Murray, Manchester City careless at the back, gifted the goal, but what a milestone.
What a moment for Harry Kane and these Tottenham fans to be able to do it at his home stadium in front of all these people here. A special moment that he'll never ever forget, to be the all-time leading scorer at Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, you could see on his face he was waving in a particular direction on the field. I think it was probably to his family's box, but he's done it now, and it's time to really streak ahead and make that record his. And for him, he'll never want to be beaten, but as we look at the game, he's not been involved at all, and the one time he is, it's a one-touch finish. Højbjerg just lays it to him in the 6-yard box. He plays it back across Edison. And as we so often see from Harry Kane, the net ripples and he wheels away.
They were ready for it, Tottenham. On the huge rectangular screens inside the stadium, it came up in the Tottenham font. Congratulations, Harry. 2-6-7. That's the number of goals that he scored for Tottenham. You heard a chorus, a big chorus from all around the three tiers of the stadium. He's one of our own. And listen, there have been times, at least a couple of times, when it looked as though he might be leaving Tottenham. And certainly I remember sitting here and actually listening to him being booed by the Tottenham fans. Remember when he did not come back after the summer break? But everything was resolved, and now there he is with this great record. I think to be the top scorer for any top football club is one of the great records for a goal scorer to have, and he's got it now all on his own for Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester City breaking forward with the ball, 1-0 down. Grealish. City have dominated the play, but a mistake there at the back. I think it was it Rodri or Akanji?
Yes, it was Rodri. He was in possession. It was the first time Manchester City have been sloppy all afternoon, and it was on the edge of their own box, and from that point Spurs just sprang. They've been waiting for that moment. They seem happy for Manchester City to have the possession, to dictate the play, but as soon as they win the ball, they flood forward in their numbers.
Got to confess, Glenn, I was so wrapped up in the record, I forgot to watch the replay of the goal, but it wasn't it, Rodri who was dispossessed or gave it away to Højbjerg, and Højbjerg just slipped it to his right to Harry Kane. What was he, 12 yards out, 13 yards out? He wasn't going to miss that one.
No, he doesn't miss from there, and I think I'm right in saying that he's the quickest to 200 Premier League goals.
Yes, the other two, the most recent two to score 200 top-flight goals. So Alan Shearer got there in his 306th appearance. Wayne Rooney, it took 462 by the time he got there. But for Harry Kane, it's his 304th. Here's Bernardo Silva carrying the ball forward and shooting from just outside the D, left foot, but close enough to Lloris, who was able to drop down to his right and take that quite comfortably. That's the first save Lloris has made.
Yeah, just find a couple of pockets of space in there. Bernardo Silva at the minute gets out on his left foot and drills a shot on target, but doesn't really come off the turf and takes most of the power out of the shot, and Lloris calmly grasps it.
Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. So unlike so many of these recent games, these disappointing matches here for Tottenham in this stadium, they've got the lead in this match. I'm not sure they necessarily deserved it, but they've got it. So it's a different dynamic now in the match.
Well, you say they didn't deserve it, but contrasting tactics, and probably the uglier one is prevailing at the moment.
Throw in for Manchester City. Out there on the left-hand side, City take the throw back towards the halfway line. It's a double milestone as well, isn't it? As we mentioned, not only the club record, but also reaching the 200 Premier League goal milestone. So that's why we're talking about Shearer and Rooney. And by the way, 3 of those appearances in the Premier League for Harry Kane were for Norwich City when he was on loan with Norwich. Sliding challenge comes in, puts it out of play on the far side. In fact, it's a free kick given against Emerson Royal. I did wonder whether Pedro Porro might have played in this game, the new signing on loan from Sporting, but he's on the bench. Ono Danjuma as well, after he came on and scored in the Cup at Preston last weekend. Tottenham making 7 changes from that team that started at Preston last weekend, but an unchanged Premier League team. Ball over the top, Alvarez I think was shoving over Ben Davies. In any case, the ball bounced through to Hugo Lloris. 20 minutes played and Tottenham lead through Harry Kane's 19th goal of this season in all competitions, and he moves a little closer to the man at the other end, Erling Haaland. So of those 200 Premier League goals, 17 have been scored this season. Kane glancing it on, suggestions that it struck the arm of Ake. Referee says no. Manchester City attack through the middle with Jack Grealish, who is sandwiched by Tottenham. That's no free kick. Kane now receives it, breaking forward from the centre circle, shoved over by Grealish, and that's a free kick. Kane takes it quickly. Referee says no, I'm going to bring it back to be taken in the centre circle. And Tottenham are now asking the question. Eric Dyer there saying we wanted to take that quickly, but it is a free kick. Full time in Rome, it has finished. Italy 24, France 29. So even though Italy led in the latter stages, in the last 10-15 minutes or so, France have won it, and we'll have more on that to get the full story from Claire Thomas at half time. And the Rugby Union Weekly will be on 5 Live tonight after 6:06, reviewing the weekend, this first weekend of the Six Nations. So that is on 5 Live, 8 o'clock tonight. But then, of course, the podcast to follow. Manchester City coming forward through the middle with Haaland with the bouncing ball. And Tottenham were able to clear it on the edge of the penalty area. Play continues. And Rico Lewis is onto the ball again. Oh, it might have been caught late there. He was by Bentancur. He'd already passed the ball away, and that is a yellow card. Well, they don't like it, the home supporters, but it was late. And it looked a little awkward the way that Lewis went down. So free kick, Manchester City. And actually, the words are being said there. Bernardo Silva's involved. Yeah. Harry Kane as well. A bit of minor pushing and shoving. What do you think, Glenn?
Well, I'm just watching Harry Kane manhandle Silva and just almost lift him up and move him out of the way as he tries to speak to the referee. But no complaints from me there. I think that was a yellow card. Came steaming out there. Bentancur and just caught Lewis as he laid the ball off to Mahrez on his right hand side, and the referee Andrew Madley was right on it and brought out his yellow card immediately. I think the frustration lies is that it took a little bit for him to give Grealish a yellow card in an instance just a couple of moments before.
That's it, isn't it? That's exactly it. That's what the discussion has been around. So it's a free kick. That's what Bernardo Silva was that's what Tottenham were talking to the referee about, and Bernardo Silva stepped in. But it's a free kick. Mahrez has already had one almost exactly here, just forward of the centre circle. Left-footed, he plays it to the edge of the area. Poor headed away by Bentancur, and that was not cleared by Manchester City. So Spurs are away down the right-hand side with Kulusevski looking to get it back, but in position on the edge of the box. And I think Kulusevski was a little late there in on the challenge. He was. That is given as a free kick. Referee spotted that on Kyle Walker, and it's a free kick to Manchester City inside their own box.
Mahrez is really lucky because as he gives that ball away, and Kulusevski skips by him with relative ease, and it's his teammate Jack Grealish that makes a 70-yard dash to eventually get the ball back from him, but poor defending from Mahrez.
Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0, Spurs leading through an historic goal from Harry Kane. Spurs upset, the home crowd upset that a free kick didn't go their way on the halfway line. That was Hojbjerg involved on that. Referee said play on, but Spurs were able to wrestle it away from Haaland and clear.
Hojbjerg, he actually robbed the ball from Rodri again, and he felt as though he was impeded and he stopped play, but the referee didn't feel so. He continued and just started to heat up a little bit this game, isn't it? Getting a bit spicy in the middle of there.
Yeah, and a bit of pressure on the referee now, and you can hear what the crowd are singing. They've gone from "he's one of our own" to "you don't know what you're doing." Tottenham won, Manchester City nil. Grealish now, a weaving run from him, then angles it back to Bernardo Silva. Kulusevski comes across, but Bernardo Silva, as he loves to do, does the full 360 degrees, and probably a little bit more as well. Gives it to Lewis, who fortunately, there were no ill effects from that late challenge from Bentancur. Lewis is okay, and now Akanji is going to carry the ball back into his own half. Tottenham are forcing them there, and Akanji passes it forward to Rodri, but Rodri had to give it back to Akanji, and the cheers are because Manchester City, the champions, have had to go all the way back to goalkeeper Ederson, all in blue. Oh, and there's a challenge on Haaland. Christian Romero slid in there. He was going for that, come what may. He'd made up his mind. He slid in on Haaland. The ball had gone. It was late. It was at pace. The only thing that saves him there is that it was very low. The challenge was very low. Kept his feet down, and it's a yellow card.
Well, I was going to say, John, that Spurs would be really happy seeing Erling Haaland dropping in deep into his own half to receive play, but then Romero just had him in his sight, didn't he? He lined him up, and regardless of where the ball was, he was taking everything there. The Argentine absolutely going right through the big man.
He's getting a bit of a reputation for that, isn't he, Romero? That sort of
but
challenge.
Do you know what? It makes his afternoon really difficult now. He's up against Haaland, and it's going to be a long afternoon on a yellow card.
Free kick. This is given against Lewis, who was in on a challenge with Harry Kane, and Bernardo Silva has come across again to have words. And Harry Kane is still standing there. Bernardo Silva's walked away now, so it's Rodri. Actually, this is going to be a drop ball. And the ball did actually kind of get caught up, didn't it, in between Lewis and the two Tottenham players. So drop ball, Manchester City have got it. Lewis, Bernardo Silva takes it forward to the edge of the box. Knocked up and cleared away by Perisic. Kane gets it down in the centre circle and sets away Kulusevski on the right-hand side. Up against Ake in the box, on his left foot, square to Son in the D, on his right foot, forced across the penalty area. Kane allowed it to run cleverly to Emerson Royal. Emerson Royal now towards the byline, Grealish with him, and Grealish is able to block it out with his shins for a corner to Tottenham, their first in the match.
Manchester City flooded back in their numbers there, but I can't help but feel that if Spurs made the right decisions there, they could have doubled their advantage. Instead of that, they've had to settle for a corner.
I was like you, Glenn, I was just thinking they're going to go 2-0 up, just like they did 17 days ago.
Very, very familiar story.
Not so, not yet anyway. So, Tottenham corner, which is taken short. Kulusevski comes short, and then it's left-footed, whipped in towards Kane at the back post, but Grealish was there actually to head it away, and then Walker further away to the halfway line as it bounces down, and Emerson Royal will pass it back to Lloris.
The one thing I took from that corner is that Harry Kane was being marked by Bernardo Silva at the back post. That is a little bit of a mismatch, to say the least.
In fact, the two players who were closest to him were Bernardo Silva and Grealish. Here's Kane on the left-hand side, and I know Tottenham fans who are listening to this, you know, it has been very much flagged up that the 2 goals Jimmy Greaves scored in the Charity Shield in 1962 against Ipswich, for some reason, are not included in his numbers. So in the eyes of some, Harry Kane will still need a couple more goals to go ahead of Jimmy Greaves. Here's Dyer playing it down the left to Emerson Royal. Now here's Son. City have got 4 men back. Son, though, plays it out to the right-hand side. Kulusevski is right up there on the right wing. Perisic is involved in the box and slides in an attempt to cross it, but Ake was able to step in, block it, and take the ball away. Well, Tottenham have really increased in confidence since the goal was scored by Harry Kane. and we've seen much more of them in an attacking sense, and now Alvarez is taking the standing legs of Davis right in front of Pep Guardiola, and it's a free kick to Spurs.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at Pep because as that free kick's given, I must say it's a soft one. Alvarez chasing Ben Davies back, and it's almost on Pep Guardiola's toes, and Pep throws his arms at the referee in disappointment and then does a little bit of a jig in front of him.
I think he suddenly changed that to instructions to the team.
Yes.
Because not even the most one-eyed of managers could have denied that was a free kick against their team, he said. 30 minutes played. Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. The champions behind. Arsenal like this. And now Kane and Kulusevski together. Kulusevski hits the shot, but it hits Ake on the edge of the box. Bounces down, and Manchester City are able to take it away through Rodri, but that's given away by Rodri, as was the case with the only goal so far. This much further away from the penalty area, though. But Spurs back in possession. Bentancur. And then Hojbjerg. Ben Davis, the Welshman on the halfway line. He's going to have a run forward, which he does. Perisic is out on the left. Perisic's cross took a deflection which looped it up, and it dropped into the arms of goalkeeper Ederson, who will underarm it out quickly for Rodri to carry forward. Rodri then saw Hojbjerg coming across, so just checked back, put his foot on it, had a look one way then the other, and with that the momentum of the move had gone. Glenn Murray.
And as we just take to a third of the game gone, I think it'll be stressful for Manchester City and Spurs fans, but for the neutrals, what a game of football, John.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Manchester City absolutely dominant up until the point where Tottenham shocked everyone and took the lead. Here's Grealish on the left-hand side, back to Ake. Ake now back again to the far side. Manchester City, I think, still right under the... There has just been the... well, there was the Akanji header early on, and then the shot from Bernardo Silva. So that's two, but they were routine saves made by the Tottenham goalkeeper. Manchester City with it on the left-hand side. Haaland not had a proper sight of goal yet, or at least an effort that the goalkeepers had to stop. Whereas Harry Kane, one chance, one goal at the other end. Kyle Walker turns and plays it all the way back to his goalkeeper, and then turns forward and says, I didn't have options, so I had to turn and play it back to my goalkeeper. And then Ederson, poor ball out, the poor touch from Perisic, you don't often say that, has delivered the ball back to Manchester City. And Rodri to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva gets his head down, approaching the left side of the penalty area, gives it to Grealish. Grealish now into the box, right-footed cross, headed away on the edge of the box by Davis for Tottenham, comes out to Mahrez, bounces away, and so Perisic was able to step in and volley it away. And now Hojbjerg on the right-hand side. Hojbjerg to Kulusevski, who's very much come more into the game. Kulusevski, the Swedish international, on the right-hand side, who's missed so much of this season. That's been a big factor, I think, in what has and hasn't happened to Tottenham this season.
I must say that every time the ball goes up front towards Harry Kane, his experience is really showing. Akanji, he's just lining Akanji up, bumping him, knocking him. He's in a real game, Akanji, this afternoon, and Harry Kane is cute at what he does. But at this moment, Hojbjerg's down, Haaland standing over him as the physio trots onto the field to see to the Tottenham man. Two
players down. Jack Grealish is also down, lying on his back, feeling what I hope is not, for his sake, his right hamstring. And Hojbjerg sitting just on the far side of the centre circle. So a little breather on our little screens in front of us. We're having another chance to see the goal. Rodri just gave it away on the edge of the box, and Hojbjerg did well actually to feed it to Kane to his right inside the box. He probably was about 10-11 yards out. Right foot hit it to the goalkeeper's right, Ederson, and found the back of the net.
And it's a bit of a scruffy finish. He doesn't really catch it cleanly, but in that moment he's so calm. He never panics. He hits the target as that ball's rolling across. He knows what he wants to do with it. He does it, and then he wheels away. The adulation of all these fans.
I think Hojbjerg is going to be okay. He's walking off the field, but there's more concern about Grealish, who is still down receiving treatment. His first goal, Glenn, Harry Kane, for Tottenham was on the 15th of December 2011. So it's taken him over 11 years to overhaul Jimmy Greaves. And we should say as well, Jimmy Greaves made it to 266 goals in 379 appearances. This, for Tottenham, for Harry Kane, is 416. And, I think that speaks volumes in itself. And I think you just need to talk to anyone who's old enough. And I was talking to David Pleat earlier today, to get an idea of just what a great goal scorer Jimmy Greaves was.
I imagine he was. He was before my time, but we talk about Harry Kane and breaking records this afternoon. He won't stop now. Strikers are greedy, he'll want one more. And the man in his sights will be a Mr. Alan Shearer, I imagine.
Will, yes. Alan Shearer with 260 Premier League goals. And I suspect it won't be long before those 2 goals that Jimmy Greaves scored in the Charity Shield in 1962 will not be significant in terms of the overall picture. But it is, that is a record that could stand for many years. And the way football is now, whether actually a top goal scorer would play long enough to break that record. Anyway, that's what records are for, aren't they? They are there to be broken. Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. So how is Grealish doing? He's come back onto the field and he seems to be moving okay. Hotspur as well, likewise. I'm pretty sure he's all right. And we've got 10 minutes to go to half-time. Bernardo Silva into the challenge. That's with Ben Davies. Son was there as well. Davies continues forward, runs into Kyle Walker.
But just when Ben Davies pops out of defence there, he tackles Silva, he pushes on to Kyle Walker, and he's almost the highest player forward for Spurs, but
Alvarez tried to play it through there to Haaland on the edge of the box, but Tottenham are wise to that. Now Kulusevski is upended on the halfway line, but the referee's not having that as a foul, so Manchester City coming forward. Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side moves the ball infield back to Rodri. Mahrez now receives it on the ground on the right. He's up against Son onto his left foot, just runs across the corner of the box. Now back centrally to Rodri. Now once again out to the right-hand side to Walker, and there's a Tottenham man down inside the area that I think the referee has called as a foul on Christian Romero, I assume by Haaland, who was the player closest to him. It's a free kick to Spurs.
Yes, I can just see it in my little monitor here, and Romero's holding Haaland, but Haaland just physically gives him a tug to let him know who's the stronger of the two. But going back to my point on Ben Davies stepping in, a moment after that, Eric Dyer found himself as the highest player forward for Spurs through that press. And do you know what that does? That lifts the squad so much. When you see somebody pressing out, you want to run with him, you want to work hard, and it's a real togetherness from Spurs so far.
Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. 5 Live and the World Service and BBC Sounds as well to listen to the live radio. Grealish, Bernardo Silva crossing from the left-hand side, but straight into Emerson Royal. Deflected straight out of play. City take the throw back to Lewis, and then Lewis back to Akanji. John Stones out injured, will be for a few weeks. And Manchester City go back. Ruben Dias is among the substitutes today as Mahrez is fouled near the halfway line. Ruben Dias been an unused substitute in the last couple of matches. There was a time, wasn't there, really not long ago, that you would think that Ruben Dias would be guaranteed his place in the Manchester City team for many years to come, but that's not the favoured system at the moment. The ball breaks down on the edge of the box for Manchester City, and then Kulusevski wins it back against Lewis, and then there's a little tangle between Lewis and Emerson Royal, and Kulusevski overhits the ball downfield where Akanji is able to tidy it up. But I think the referee, is he bringing it back for a Tottenham free kick? I think he is.
He's brought that ball a long way back.
That was I think he took the maximum amount of time to see if an advantage unfolded, which it didn't, so a free kick is given. That was for Lewis, wasn't it, on Emerson Royal, as the two of them brought forward off the ball. I'm
just watching it again on my monitor, and it was something and nothing. Very lucky for Spurs to be able to get the ball back there after they clearly lost it.
Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. Whether that will help the crowd and make them feel any more favourably disposed towards Andy Madley, I'm not sure. As Akanji heads the ball back to his goalkeeper, Ederson. So Manchester City still 1-0 down, and for all of this possession that they were having, particularly up to the Tottenham opening goal, have really not created a great deal in terms of, well, clear chances. But Rodri now striding forward to the edge of the box, but overran it, and Christian Romero stepped in there, and he had to get that ball, and he did. If he caught the man, that could have been a second yellow card. But then Kane is dispossessed. They feel he was fouled, the Tottenham fans. Mahrez takes it on, tried to take it past Davis, just failed, but he's still got the ball. Now to Alvarez on the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva makes himself available, and it comes Rodri with a shot, but down went Lloris to drop onto it. He was looking for the bottom corner, the right bottom corner, as Rodri was looking at that, but he didn't catch that with the power or the whip that he intended. So Lloris was able to drop onto it, Glenn Murray.
No, he didn't at all, did he? And Alvarez plays almost a square ball along the 18-yard box, and Rodri's arriving and tries to swing it into Lloris's left-hand near post, and again doesn't get it off the turf, and it just takes the sting out of the ball. And I'm sure Manchester City wish it had just landed at maybe Bernardo Silva's feet as he arrived there.
So Manchester City 1-0 down, looking to close to within 2 points of Arsenal, but that's not what would be happening with this scoreline. Arsenal would keep their 5-point lead. Long time to go in this game though. And here is Walker on the right-hand side. Walker passing it infield. Haaland's got space here. That usually spells danger. Up to the D, then to his left to Grealish. Grealish looking for the position, and then shooting across the face of goal, but quite wildly actually, trying to curl it, but he didn't get the shape on that he wanted at all, and it was beyond the far post and wide.
He didn't, but Erling Haaland just found himself about 30 yards from goal in a pocket of space, got the ball out of his feet. Thought he was just going to hit it with his left foot. It was his first sight of goal all afternoon, but very unselfishly lays it off to Jack Grealish on the left-hand side, cuts back in on his right, looking for that far top corner, but just get his angles wrong. Half-time
approaching. We'll have more on France's must have been an exciting win against Italy in the Six Nations by 29 points to 24 at half-time, and also on Forest's 1-0 win against Leeds. We've already heard live from Steve Cooper as Tottenham come forward down the right-hand side. Challenge from Akanji as the ball bounces away, and I think the assistant has called that as a corner. He has. Akanji protests about that, but it is a corner to Tottenham. We're going to hear from Jesse Marsh, by the way, the Leeds manager, at half-time after their 1-0 defeat at the City Ground. Celtic 4-1 winners at St Johnstone earlier. We've already heard from Ange Postecoglou, and we'll hear from Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton as well, ahead of the 5 Live 606 football phone-in, which will follow 5 Live's Premier League Sunday this afternoon. But corner to Tottenham from the right-hand side. Tottenham already 1-0 up. Perisic to take this. Left-footed delivery into the 6-yard box, which is punched away by Ederson. Out of the box to Højbjerg, who heads it back to Perisic, who crosses right-footed. Flick, Mike Bolt, Kane shoots, it's blocked. Dyer with the effort, that's blocked. Dyer across the 6-yard box, that's cleared as well. And it's out for a throw on the far side. Just too many bodies in red and black for Tottenham to take full advantage. And that ball arrived to Harry Kane. It skipped up onto his chest. I think he wanted to hit it first time, but just got out of his reach. Had to have another touch, which let the Manchester City defenders encroach around him, and his third touch was the shot and blocked. It was. So it's still 1-0 in Manchester City. After the Tottenham throw, are able to win the ball back down in the left full-back position, and then Haaland is challenged, and it's out of play into the second or third row of the stand on the opposite side of the ground. And just like the game 17 days ago in Manchester, it looks as though Tottenham could be leading at half-time. Foul by it's Grealish, who's just reacted to that challenge that came in on him from Perisic. But referee was quickly across just to calm that down. It's had a little edge to it, hasn't it, as well? I suppose they played each other just recently. As I say, very often when that's the case, little contests carry over as Rodri overhits a pass downfield, and that's a goal kick to Tottenham. It can do, can't it? That familiarity.
Yes,
People
it can.
don't forget things that have happened.
And we watching some of the world's best out there today, but one battle that is taking my attention is Haaland and Romero. Romero already on a yellow card. He's already lifted the big man up in the air. Haaland is getting quite physical with him, and I'm sure there's been a few words exchanged out there between the two of them.
Good shout that, Glenn, because Christian Romero's got to be careful, and Haaland trying to get under his skin. He very nearly got under his shirt as the ball's passed out from the back. 2 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Very, very interesting. It's had the history moment for Harry Kane, his 200th Premier League goal, his 200th Premier League goal, and for Tottenham, his record-breaking 267th goal in all competitions. Here is Mahrez on the right-hand side for Bernardo Silva, who flicked it forwards beyond Dyer. Bounces away, Rodri got a touch. Alvarez is onto this, might have had a go at goal. Still going into the penalty area to Grealish, foot on it. And then the right-footed cross off the head of Davis, comes down to Mahrez, shot hits the bar, bounces down and out. And Emerson Royal is able to clear it away. Almost bounced out to Haaland, but Emerson Royal got there first. And Mahrez and Manchester City hit the crossbar. City fans are raised by that in their corner. City come again. Walker. Short pass to Mahrez. But in stepped Højbjerg and won it back against Bernardo Silva. Then gets a fortunate break of the ball, and Bentancur is able to chip it over the top. This for Kane to chase, but he won't reach it, and it bounces out of play, and it's a throw into Manchester City.
What a terrible pass that is from Bentancur. Honestly, he had so many options. Højbjerg through the middle, Kulusevski to his right, Kane in acres of space to his left, and he somehow puts too much on it and puts it out of play.
Just wondering whether Christian Romero might have got his head to the Mahrez volley.
No, do you know what? I did think that, but I watched the replay and he didn't. From our angle, it did look like he took a little nick, didn't it, John? But he definitely didn't. Brilliant from Mahrez at the back stick. Just set himself and drilled the shot towards goal, coming off the underside of the bar. And that's the closest Manchester City have come in the first half. Yeah,
and he was actually quite close as well, wasn't he? Probably 10, 12 yards out. But good shout, good spot. That he was jumping for it, but it struck the crossbar and came out. So there we are. That historic goal, that historic Tottenham goal, is the only one that we've seen. Harry Kane and Tottenham lead Manchester City by 1-0. But Glenn Murray, I don't know about you, I feel this match has a great deal more in it.
Oh, it has got so much in it. I think Pep will just be in the changing rooms asking and wanting more of his players and saying, relax. We were 2-0 down at home, we still came back and put 4 on them. They're fragile. But on the other hand, I'm sure that Stellini's saying, let's not make the same mistake again, boys. Let's keep the tactics the same. Let's keep working off the back of a deep block, getting runners forward and asking questions. But I can't believe the turnaround in the game from Spurs not having a pass, from not having a touch of the football, to all of a sudden dictating play and looking such a threat on the attack. I mean, it really has swung between both sides here.
So at half-time, it is a tonic for the recuperating Antonio Conte. It is Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0.
Well, the turnaround, Glenn, is because of a really bad error, isn't it? And that's one of the other parallels, not just Tottenham taking the lead, from the game 16 days ago when Ederson just sort of passed the ball to a Spurs player. It's a bad error from Rodri, and, well, you know Kane's going to score in that position.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a bad error, and he knows it's a bad error. We don't need to keep going on about it, and yes, it's inevitable when Kane gets that box inside 8 yards of the goal, he hits the target, and more often than not, he does score. But, I mean, you say that it was the turning point, I do agree with that, but from that point on, the confidence, I mean, Spurs just blossomed into the game, because for the first 10-15 minutes, they were terrible. They just couldn't get their foot on the ball. They couldn't find another white shirt. They couldn't get out of their own half. They couldn't get out of their own box, let alone their own half. And then all of a sudden, Manchester City just, one bad pass, they go 1-0 up, and from that point on, Spurs just look really, really good.
If you're Pep Guardiola, I was going to say you're tearing your hair out. He was certainly scratching his head quite literally when the ball went in the back of the net. Clearly not happy. But he set something up here which feels a little bit experimental. It took a while for any of us to work out what the formation is, and there are changes to the team we might not have expected. It must be incredibly frustrating when you do that, it's all going to plan, and then not for the first time this season, something like that happens.
Yeah, do you know what? You can plan all week, you can work on your tactics and everything, do all your meetings up at the training ground, but you can't think for personal errors like that. That's just one of the things in football that managers come unstuck for, that they just can't. You can't see coming, and you don't expect world-class players to do it. But listen, the pressure and the situation, it just sometimes gets the better of people, and you've got to make decisions in seconds, split seconds, and you can get them wrong. And we've just seen Rodri do that.
Thank you very much, guys. Fascinating second half in prospect. Glenn Murray and John Murray at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs lead by 1-0. Right, we've got reaction coming to Nottingham Forest win over Leeds United. We've already heard from Steve Cooper. We've got Jesse Marsh on the way. More from John Hunt at Leopardstown as well. And we'll be reflecting on that astonishing game in the Six Nations. France just getting over the line, beating Italy at the Stadio Olimpico by 29 points to 24. We'll also talk 606 with Robbie Savage. The lines are open, 08085 909 693. All of that, then second half commentary at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We'll get the news now, though, on 5 Live with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
In the last few minutes, CCTV images have been released showing Nicola Bulley on the morning that she disappeared. In the pictures, she's seen loading her car before taking her children to school. Meanwhile, friends of the 45-year-old say online speculation about her disappearance 9 days ago has been hurtful for the family. Our correspondent Danny Savage is in the Lancashire village of St Michael's on Wyre, where she was last seen.
Police are still searching for any trace of Nicola Bulley. The issue is none has been found, and until there is, people will still ask questions and still wonder aloud what has happened to her.
Both the government and health unions are urging each other to act to prevent a week of NHS strikes in England. The Royal College of Nursing and Unite, which represents many ambulance staff, want the Prime Minister to step in, saying there are no talks taking place about pay. The government warn there will be a disruption for patients and accuse the unions of putting lives at risk. Liz Truss says her economic plans were blocked by a powerful establishment while she was Prime Minister. Writing in the Sunday Telegraph, the UK's shortest serving PM says that she wasn't given a realistic chance to implement tax cuts to drive growth. The Business Secretary, Grant Shapps, says her approach was clearly wrong. Police in Austria say 8 people have died in avalanches this weekend. They include a snowplow driver and winter sports enthusiasts from countries including Germany, China and New Zealand. And China has threatened further actions in response to America shooting down an observation balloon that flew across the United States. Chinese officials insist it was a weather monitoring device, but the US claim it was a spy balloon.
How was it living next to Mr. Palmer's house?
We had a bomb go off in their garage, which was quite frightening.
I'm Livy Haydock, and this is Gangster,
the explosive story of John Palmer,
a godfather figure born out of the crime of the century.
He built an empire in the sun, scamming tens of thousands of innocent people.
I said, "Who are you?" And he went, "I'm John Palmer." You're the con man who's taken all my money then, are you?
A scam that ultimately turned bloody.
When people started to complain, Palmer sent in violent men.
Gangster, the story of John Palmer.
Listen now on BBC Sounds.
5 Live's Premier League Sunday.
This is 5 Live Sport.
It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Manchester City 0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We've got second half commentary on the way. France began the defence of their men's Six Nations title by beating Italy 29-24 at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. Much closer than anybody would have thought. An absolute thriller. Watching for us, Claire Thomas.
Well, what an affair we were treated to at the Stadio Olimpico out in Rome. Perfect conditions for running rugby, and that suited this young Italian outfit just fine. They came out the blocks firing, and the French, well, they brought plenty of ill discipline with them to the fixture. It really was a battle of the French Flyers and the boot of Ramos up against some magic from the Italians and their ferocity at the breakdown. A moment of absolute sorcery from fullback Ange Capuozzo, bringing us up to a half-time score of 14-19 to the visitors. We thought it might blow out in the second half, as so often has been the case when the Azzurri have been involved, but no, this new look Kieran Crowley outfit, they will not go away, and they fought to the very last, getting their noses ahead at one stage, but it was eventually France who would come away with the victory. 29 points to 24, a bonus point for each side. Heartbreak for the Italians, but also, Danica, a lot of heart to take.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. What a game. What a spectacle. The Guinness Six Nations opening weekend has not disappointed. It's absolute heartbreak for the Italians. You thought with that opportunity, with the amount of penalties that the French kept giving away, you thought, right, this is the one. This is the one. Score the try, make history, beat them for the first time at home in 10 years. And they couldn't quite do it. The French just shown it at the end, when they need to win, when they need a big play, that maul, they just managed to suffocate them enough to turn them over. And the French got away with one today. Antoine Dupont, Fabien Gaultier, they got away with one, because if you're that ill-disciplined in international level, you normally lose games, and unfortunately the Italians weren't clinical enough to do so. But if the French give half as many penalties away next week against Ireland, they will not win the game.
Well, France through by the skin of their teeth today. It doesn't get any easier. They've got a trip to the Aviva, which is a bit of a fortress for an Ireland side who are very much justifying that world #1 ranking right now. Italy, they'll head to Twickenham at this time next week to take on a wounded England side. Really fascinating encounters wherever you look.
Much more reaction to that to come on 5 Live from 8 p.m, and highlights of the game on BBC Two at 6 p.m. In racing, disappointment in the Irish champion hurdle for the 3-times winner Honeysuckle. Willie Mullins' trained Stateman took victory instead at Leopardstown. John Hunt was in Dublin.
Well, Irish Champion Hurdle Day here at Leopardstown is always a big occasion, but there was extra frisson around the place today, as so many racegoers anticipated the prospect of Honeysuckle winning the Champion Hurdle for the 4th time, and in doing so, could she match Isterbrack from 22 years ago? Unfortunately for her legion of fans, it wasn't to be the case today. The winner was Stateman, trained by Willie Mullins and ridden by Paul Townend. Townend made all the running on Stateman today, and when Honeysuckle had a slight stumble at the third last flight of hurdles, the crowd here, vast crowd once again, knew that potentially the game was up. She rallied to the cause though, and was beaten 4 lengths and held Vauban for second place, and she got a great cheer as she returned to the second place berth in the winners' enclosure. Stateman's day then. Stateman heads to Cheltenham now in 5 weeks' time and will be the main threat to Constitution Hill. What a champion hurdle that should be on the opening day of the Cheltenham Festival. But what now for Honeysuckle? She's given so much delight over the years. We heard from Henry de Bromhead, her trainer, after the race, and Henry thought that it would be folly to think about another crack at the champion hurdle, a race she's won twice before. She may still go to Cheltenham. She may even be retired. Here's de Bromhead's reaction to today's defeat.
She's been amazing for us, obviously, and yeah, it was a super run. Obviously, you know, the winner won well, but yeah, she ran really well, and delighted with her. She's back safe and sound, and it's all good. We think the mare, she's still second in an Irish champion hurdle. We think she's in great form at home. She's showing us no signs, but having said that, she's you know, obviously this is her last season, so that'll be something we'll all discuss, and I couldn't see any reason to stop running her, but that's from a trainer's perspective. I wouldn't be going for the champion, obviously. I'd be, you know, oh God, no, I'd be going for the mares. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but we might decide to retire. We might, you know, who knows what we'll do. We'll get through today.
John Murray DJing there in Dublin. The early game in the Premier League saw Nottingham Forest beat Leeds 1-0 thanks to a goal from Brennan Johnson. Here's the Leeds manager, Jesse Marsh.
Really frustrated that their first time down the pitch, almost their only time down the pitch in the first half, that they get the lead after we had a really good start, that we kept pushing the game in the first half, thought that we would find a way to get ourselves back in the game. At halftime, that was the discussion, and to have the guys from the bench be ready, but second half we were a little undisciplined. We're kind of running all over the place. I'm disappointed in myself, and I take full responsibility, and we've got to find a way to take good performances and add them into more points.
What, in reflection, then, would you have done differently?
It's a good question. I mean, we're talking about being more stable defensively. We give almost nothing away, and we believe that we have enough dynamic tactics and players that we can be very dangerous in all moments of the match. And on the day, it didn't add up enough. But we've just got to find a way. We like our group. We have good, young, talented players, and we've got to I have to find a way to get them make them better.
08085 909 693 is the number to call for 606. The lines are open now. Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage coming up when we're done at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Afternoon, Robbie.
Afternoon, Steve. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Chris Sutton's refereeing performance today. Do we know if it went well, if it went badly?
Well, probably not. He's probably hopeless like he is in most things he ever does, Steve. Let's be fair. But listening to Jesse Marsh then, you know, when he was asked what would you have done differently, and he said, good question. You know, we listened to Nathan Jones last night. You know, managers need to solve problems. You know, they're very highly paid, you know, and, you know, when getting asked a question, what would you have done differently? Good question. I think the managers, you know, they do take accountability. You know, players have to take accountability. But you look at the Southampton and Leeds situation, desperate situation, Southampton more so than Leeds. But you do worry for Leeds. The run they're on, Nottingham Forest, Steve Cooper. Do you remember, Steve, when when Nottingham Forest went to Leicester and there was massive pressure under both managers, and everybody thought that Steve Cooper might get the sack. He got rewarded with a new contract. Look at them now, 24 points. I think they'll be fine. Lots and lots and lots of players coming in the building. But Steve Cooper doing a remarkable job. But you worry about Leeds United. I think they'll go down. I'll stick to that.
Are you worried about Liverpool, Robbie? Because their manager, Jurgen Klopp, says he doesn't know what the problem is.
Well, scoring goals. They're top scorer since the World Cup. I don't know if you've seen the stat. It's Leicester's Wout Faes.
Oh, wow.
He's got 2 goals. He's their top scorer since the World Cup, which is quite remarkable for all the firepower and the money they've spent. We had a few callers on 606 last night, you know, blaming, you know, the board and other circumstances. But they've spent a lot of money on firepower, and their top scorer since the World Cup is a Leicester defender, which is quite remarkable. And what is happening with City? Poor performance in the first half. Kevin De Bruyne on the bench. Cancelo going to Bayern Munich. You know, again, we'll have City fans on saying, oh, we're better without Haaland, which is, or better without a number 9. You know, facts will back that up, you know, if you listen to it, but you have to get Haaland. And listen, 08085 909 693. Nice to see Glenn Murray earning his money again. He was on the show with me yesterday. He's everywhere, Glenn, isn't he?
Robbie, thanks very much. He's back right now with John Murray at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yes, a man's got to live, Glenn, hasn't he?
Oh, rich from Robbie Savage.
Isn't it just? So Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0 as the second half gets underway here now in the North London chill, and no changes at half-time by either manager, Pep Guardiola for City and Christian Stellini of Tottenham. And now Son playing the ball, angled for Kane, but Walker was able to come in with a challenge, and it bounced back to Ederson, who actually took a heavy touch there by his standards. And Kane thought for a moment he might get in on that, but Ederson was able to recover and clear it out of play on the halfway line. Glenn Murray.
And unfortunately for about 40% of the fans, they missed that, didn't they, John? Because it's still filling up.
Well, there are lots of attractions, aren't there, inside this stadium, in the insides, on the concourses, and the queues, no doubt, will be very, very long.
The next thing, half-time, will be 20 minutes, so you can spend a little bit more money.
Yes. But Spurs, as they started with Lloris in goal, so the 3 central defenders, Romero, Dyer and Davis, and as Glenn has mentioned, quite significant that Romero's on a yellow card. Rest of the formation in a moment, but here's Kulusevski down the right-hand side, playing it into the box for Højbjerg. Akanji came across, Højbjerg has kept possession, he's taken back out into the full-back area, and it was stabbed out for a throw. to Tottenham. So the midfield four: Emerson Royal, Bentancur, Højbjerg and Perisic. Then Kulusevski on the right, Son on the left, and goal scorer Kane through the middle. His 267th Tottenham goal in all competitions. If you've just joined us, haven't heard, he's got the Tottenham record all to himself. Lewis, poor header away. Emerson Royal. Kane went for the volley and missed it. Akanji was coming across, actually, whether he put him off slightly, but even so, with his left foot, Kane went for the volley from 14 yards and missed it.
He did, but it was such a difficult thing he tried, because the ball came from the right hand side and he tried to let the ball run across his body and volley it with his left foot, and for once in the 18-yard box he just didn't seem set, Harry Kane.
He was just looking to get he needed the perfect contact, didn't it? As it came over from the right across his body, he would have had to catch that. As they say, the margin for error was very low. So 1-0 Tottenham lead, and the Manchester City team, if you weren't listening in the first half, we've settled in the end on a 2-3-4-1
in possession.
And Tottenham, as they go back to goalkeeper Lloris. So Ederson in goal, Akanji and Ake, the two central defenders, then Walker and Lewis either side of Rodri, as Emerson Royal wins a free kick just inside his own half. Mahrez, Alvarez, Bernardo Silva and Grealish, and then Haaland. But you're suggesting, Glenn, that as we watch now, it very much looks like a back four, doesn't it?
Yes, it looks very much like a flat back four, doesn't it, at the start of this second half, out of possession.
With Bernardo Silva having dropped back into central midfield with Rodri. Mahrez on the right, Grealish on the left, and Alvarez and Haaland.
Dare I say it, but it looks like Pep Guardiola has set up as a 4-4-2.
I bet it doesn't stay like that. So Tottenham take the throw back into their own penalty area. Lloris from the ground, left-footed, given away by Kulusevski under pressure from Ake. Now Grealish, Tottenham players around him. Emerson Royal leaned into him and down went Grealish and wins the free kick, and Emerson Royal's not best pleased. It was one of those, sometimes they're difficult to call, aren't they, when the attacker is running away and the defender comes in. There's upper body contact, a bit of lower body contact as well, Glenn.
Yes, I think he just slid into, was it Eric Dyer's feet, Jack Grealish's momentum, but I can't see what Royale's moaning about. It's a clear free kick, and if there's one man that initiates contact, it's Jack Grealish.
So no changes for City. Grealish will take this free kick. Mahrez is there as well. Could be either of them. It's actually Mahrez who comes up left-footed, swinging it to the back post where it is headed away. Bentancur comes out to Bernardo Silva on the edge of the box. Bernardo Silva trying to go around Emerson Royal, who's forced wide, and then plays it back centrally for Lewis. Lewis then back to Bernardo Silva, dummy to cross. Emerson Royal turns one way then the other, uses Kyle Walker, and Walker's deep ball right across the penalty area, bounces up and might even have hit Jack Grealish in the face as it skipped off the turf, and that meant that it bounced behind off Grealish for a goal kick to Tottenham, who lead 1-0.
Kyle Walker found himself on the right hand side then. He was just trying to find a couple of men over on this far side of the penalty area, and Ben Davies was the last Tottenham defender, and it looks like he was going to get a touch on it. He just ducked out of it at the last minute, and I think it threw Jack Grealish as it skipped off the turf, touched him and went out of play.
1-0 Tottenham, Harry Kane's goal. Kulusevski stumbles over as he's challenging Lewis. So Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan are on the bench. There's no Phil Foden, who Pep Guardiola said earlier had actually been ill, did travel with the squad but had been ill, so that's why he's not involved. And Joao Cancelo, who we hear from Germany, has been involved already with Bayern Munich and provided an assist. They're playing this afternoon against, I think it was Mainz, wasn't it? Bayern Munich are winning. Wolfsburg it is. Bayern Munich winning 3-1 away, and Cancelo has been involved in a goal. So no Cancelo to call on.
Different setting, same story.
Yes, very much. And Manchester City with Ake on the left-hand side, uses Grealish, Emerson Royal very tight, puts in a challenge, Grealish takes it on, down towards the dead ball line, then Emerson Royal goes to ground, tackles him, and puts the ball out for a Manchester City throw.
Seems to be something bubbling a little bit there between Grealish and Emerson Royal. Come together on a couple of occasions, and
there were words.
Yes, there were words, and with that challenge there, Royal almost had to go through Grealish to get the ball, and he didn't like it.
Was happy to do that as well. So it is
I think that's Porro that they...
Pedro Porro down there, warming up next to Grealish. Grealish taking the corner to the back post, which is headed away, comes out to Alvarez. Alvarez away from Son, couldn't keep the ball in on the far side. After wriggling away from Son's challenge, it bounced off him and through, and it is a goal kick to Tottenham. So fascinating. This is poised with Tottenham leading, so Arsenal would keep the 5-point lead that they have. So both of them have played 20 matches currently, completed 20 matches. Arsenal with a 5-point lead, and after Newcastle were held by West Ham last night, Tottenham could move to within 1 point of Newcastle with this scoreline, 1 point of the Champions League places, as Christian Romero jumps in and just is able to nick it past Haaland deep inside his own half, then sprints after it, puts it out for a throw, stops it going for a corner. Throwing is taken, Grealish, now Lewis, then Rodri, back to Grealish on the left-hand side. Grealish onto his right foot, cuts the ball into the back post, and Perisic gets a call from a teammate, ducks out of it and allows it to bounce all the way through for a goal kick. So the chances City have created so far, I mean, Hugo Lloris has had to make several saves, but all of them routine saves really. There was just the Mahrez takedown and shot against the crossbar late on in the first half.
I mean, the big question is that the saves that he has made, the Manchester City players, when they've hit them, have been in good positions, and we talk about De Bruyne, and if he'd been coming onto them, then I think it would have been a very different story.
And Haaland has yet to have a direct attempt on goal in this match. Did score one of the goals 17 days ago when Manchester City staged the second half comeback and won 4-2 in Manchester. Rodri with a cross, Haaland goes down inside the penalty area, Dyer with the challenge, but Dyer got to the ball and cleared it away. Haaland gets back to his feet. Manchester City playing from right to left in this second half in the red and black. Ball in from Bernardo Silva, that's flicked on but cleared away at the back post for Tottenham. Ake now on the halfway line, has to head it forward. Son is underneath that, finds the goal scorer, Harry Kane, who passes it back to Perisic, who will go all the way back to Lloris in the goal to our left. Tottenham attacking towards the big south stand to our right, that's the stand at the top of which on the roof the cockerel is up there, floodlit in gold. And down on pitch level it is Rodri, come on Tottenham, someone shouts down in front of it. Bernardo Silva wheels out to the right-hand side. Højbjerg puts the challenge in on him, and it bounces to Son, and now Højbjerg to Kane, and Kane digs out the pass to the right-hand side. Kulusevski is now running onto this. Emerson Royal is there as well in support. Kulusevski goes for the byline, but Lewis went with him, and Lewis put in the challenge to knock it behind for a Tottenham corner from the right, but Tottenham excellent, moving the ball downfield.
Yes, moving the ball through the thirds and gets that man Harry Kane one touch, only one thing in his mind, whip it out to the winger Kulusevski, who drives at Rico Lewis, and while he's doing that, Harry Kane's busy making his way into the box for the return ball, but Rico Lewis stood up to Kulusevski.
He did. Harry Kane standing with his hands on his hips. Lots of red and black shirts there, all on the edge. In fact, they've got everyone back inside their own, almost inside their own 6-yard box. Perisic into the near post and a header over the top from Ben Davies arriving on it. There was a defender there, but a little glance, he just helped it on with his head, but it flew over the top of the angle of post and bar.
Yes, Perisic just hits that front post, and it's Ben Davies who makes that near post run, just gets in front of Alvarez, tries to glance that ball back on target, just goes over Ederson's goal.
Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. More live football on Tuesday and Wednesday night. The FA Cup 4th round replays, you'll hear them on 5 Live and Sports Extra on Tuesday and Wednesday. In fact, it's the Sheffield United-Wrexham game that's on 5 Live on Tuesday, and Tottenham will play the winners, won't they? So Tottenham going to either Sheffield United or Wrexham. I think I saw a shot of Kevin De Bruyne being prepared with just over half an hour to play. It had to be only a matter of time.
Yes, here he comes, the Manchester City number 17, stripped off, ready to go.
Yeah, leaning forward up here on high, leaning over the gantry as Manchester City play a ball over the top, but it's glanced on straight through to Lloris. And Pep Guardiola steps forward, now sees De Bruyne coming, immediately straight across to him, all urgency. He's got his hand across the lower part of his back, he's pointing it out onto the field. Lots and lots of instructions. And Tottenham with Hotspur lifting it forward towards Kane, who's fighting for it with Ake, and it bounces away for Kulusevski, and Ake continues his run up against Kulusevski, forces him infield, and then Hotspur back to Kulusevski. That's well worked, but Kulusevski's pass infield was hit short, and Ake was able to get that away. Now Bernardo Silva on the run for Manchester City down the left wing, but Tottenham, Bentancur and Romero are there either side of him. It's well defended by the two of them, and the change didn't give us a chance. Glenn, I was going to ask you who you thought might make way, and it's Mahrez.
Well, I can admit that I wouldn't have answered Mahrez.
Hence the reason that I was wondering when it was him, because I would have been in the same boat. So what, Bernardo Silva already going out towards the right-hand side? I
thought that he probably would have took Jack Grealish off out of the options there, but he's gone for Mahrez, who incidentally has had the best opportunity for Manchester City this afternoon.
And also, he's got a very good goal-scoring record against Tottenham, 7 goals and another 4 assists in his Premier League matches against Tottenham, but not today. The width of the crossbar away at the end of the first half. Lines are open for 6:06 to talk to Robbie and to Chris Sutton after 5 Live's Premier League Sunday tonight. Harry Kane with a free kick, takes it early. Walker was after it, then couldn't get underneath it, and it's found Perisic on the left-hand side. Perisic's cross. Kane is arriving, headed away by Ake, and then half-volleyed away, but sliced up in the air by Grealish. Bentancur jumps for it. Manchester City have been able to clear it. Haaland is still there as well. Lewis, he's able to step in, and now Grealish has his legs taken away from him by Eric Dyer, and that is a free kick for Manchester City. And Harry Kane kicked the ball away there, but not with enough force to be picked up by the officials, and Manchester City take a quick free kick and bring it forward quickly. Yes, the line's open, 08 085 909 693 to join in on the 5 Live football phone. Kevin De Bruyne into the action and fouled almost immediately.
That was Bentancur with that foul, already on a yellow card. He's treading a very thin line.
There are 1 or 2. Bentancur on the yellow, Romero. So Kevin De Bruyne, he felt that, reacted, went to ground, just picked himself up, and that's the only change we've seen so far. De Bruyne himself is going to take this, just shrugs his shoulders, takes an intake of breath. De Bruyne then plays it up towards the edge of the box. It's headed forward by Ake, but bounces through to goalkeeper Lloris, who was able to take it quite easily. He wanted to get rid of it quickly. Son was looking for the run there.
I don't think that run quite had the intensity that Lloris wanted, because he wanted to get going quick there. He wanted to launch a counter-attack. And you can see from his mannerisms how frustrated the Frenchman was.
Yes, and then Emerson Royal is just clipped by De Bruyne on the halfway line, and that's a free kick. Yeah, Hugo Lloris, you could see in his reaction there, he wanted, as they say, Son to be on his bike, and he wasn't quite. Tottenham 1-0 up. Bentancur takes it away from Rodri, passes it through to Kane, who might have been in an offside position in any case, ran into City, and then it's forward by Rodri. De Bruyne trying to find that pass to Haaland, but Eric Dyer was able to follow the line of the ball and get there before the big Norwegian. And Tottenham, lovely flick over there by Perisic on the far side. And then ball played up to Son. Might have been a foul. Son's able to play it through to Højbjerg, who flicks it square. Emerson Royal almost there, but Ake slid in and played it into Emerson Royal, and it then flew forward and behind for a goal kick.
And the game just burst into intensity, but that's the first time that De Bruyne had the ball, and as soon as he got it out of his feet, Haaland was on his bike. They're just on the same wavelength, aren't they? De Bruyne just couldn't get the pass quite right, but already signs of them connecting up, the two of them.
It's excellent from Ben Davies, who's actually been hurt. It was Ben Davies inside his own half who put in the challenge that sent the pass forward for that latest Tottenham move, and it's taken him a little while just to recover from this. Whether he was caught late or whether it's the way that he went down, he is okay, didn't need treatment. And Manchester City come out with the ball from the back. 1-0 Tottenham lead. De Bruyne finds a flying Grealish, jumps, takes it down, takes the ball on. Oh, and then Emerson Royal slides in. Grealish knew he was coming, chipped the ball past him, and was taken down by Emerson Royal, who knew exactly. He'd been done by Grealish there, and even before he made contact, Emerson Royal's throwing up his arms. Grealish went sprawling down, and it's a free kick near where the penalty area meets the dead ball line.
Yes, Grealish stands up, arms outstretched. Why is he not getting a yellow card, referee, I think was the question. But brilliant play by Grealish. He could see the contact coming in from Emerson Royal. He just lifts the ball a foot off the ground, so the sliding tackle doesn't get any contact and buys the free kick.
So a free kick for Manchester City. It's like a short corner almost, maybe a yard and a half in from the dead ball line. De Bruyne actually plays it square, and it's drilled goalwards and deflected up and over the top. Alvarez was arriving onto it unmarked on the edge of the box. Tottenham didn't spot that, and that could have gone anywhere, and it hit a Tottenham man.
And Eric Dyer, and it was actually
up and over.
It was actually already going wide. It comes obviously by Manchester City players asking if it was off the hand. It wasn't. But all Tottenham players within 8 yards of their goal, they were inviting that pullback. There was two players, Rico Lewis or Alvarez, who De Bruyne could have rolled it to. It was Alvarez, and he just got his angles wrong.
It could easily have gone in off Dyer, but it flew over. So it's a corner. De Bruyne takes this one deep to the back post. Stretching header from Rodri. He actually headed it away out of the penalty area, but Alvarez swings the crossover, only half headed away. Akanji with a shot, that's blocked, comes back to Akanji, then back to De Bruyne, who steers it well wide by 2 or 3 yards, and he's appealing for a deflection, but he knew that the referee was at a sort of square of him and might not have an idea, whereas we know, Glenn, I think I'm right in saying that did not get a touch from a Tottenham leg, and the referee called that correctly.
No, and I think it was Romero who throws himself at Akanji's shot, and it actually does come off his arm. Definite no free kick, but Spurs on the counter-attack here.
They are. All of a sudden, after a spell of Manchester City pressure, it's Son who's taken it from the halfway line, and he gives it to Perisic, and Perisic right across the 6-yard box. Kane sliding in, can't get there, and ends up with one leg either side of the post. That could have been nasty.
It could have been Phil Bob-esque. He just didn't have quite enough momentum, the Spurs forward, but brilliant play by Spurs. Son playing in Perisic on that left-hand side, who is looking for the ever-lurking Kane at the far stick and just gets a little bit too much on it. The England man couldn't quite get any contact.
He just managed to stop himself with his arms as he slid in, as I say, sliding towards the post, 1 foot either side, right up between his legs, but managed to stop himself using his arms with the post, and he's okay. And one of the Tottenham players has actually gone down with a little bit of cramp there, and it is a goal kick to Manchester City. 25 minutes to go, and Manchester City, with this scoreline, Manchester City are looking at a 4th Premier League defeat of the season for the champions.
I can hear the noise from the other side of North London here, sat here. Can you, John?
Everyone in North London might be happy tonight.
I'm not sure the Spurs fans will be happy how much it benefits Arsenal.
Well, I think when it comes down to it, it's Tottenham's Champions League ambitions and target that is the most important. And this would put pressure on Newcastle. Tottenham bringing the ball out from the back. Emerson Royal forward. Højbjerg surely must have been in an offside position. He chips it goalwards and into the net.
What a finish, by the way.
Brilliant finish. But the flag was up. That was up there alongside the goal that he scored when he broke away and put it in the net in Marseille. But he himself knew that he was beyond the back line, so it's ruled out. It remains Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. And the champions coming forward again with Walker. Loaned forward, De Bruyne gets it back from Alvarez, then gives it to Alvarez, who shoots across the face of goal and beyond the far top corner and wide. And judging by his reaction there, the Argentine turns away, hands on face. That mustn't have been far away.
No, but everything good for Manchester City is coming through Kevin De Bruyne. He's really starting to make City tick now. Starting to make that difference in the final third of the pitch.
Which begs the question, Glenn, why wasn't he in the team from the start? But Pep Guardiola, as Jimmy Armfield always used to say, will know his players better than we will. Here's Kulusevski down the right-hand side. Kulusevski into the box for Tottenham. Across to Emerson Royal, who couldn't find the pass back to Kulusevski, who in any case actually might have been just beyond the line of defenders in an offside position.
I must say, when Rico Lewis has been fronted up by Kulusevski, who's quite a jinky customer, he's defended extremely well.
1-0 Tottenham lead. I think he's got a chance of the England squad next month. Lewis, as it's played back to Ederson, who's able to clear with Son bearing down on him. This is a long high ball right through the middle to Haaland, but Romero won that in the air. And now centre field, Bentancur is able to step away from De Bruyne, and Bentancur, he's got options either side of him. He uses Kane to his right. Kane goes for the shot across the face of goal, and that he was off balance and he pulled it well wide across. Way too far ahead of Son, not on target. Goal kick City.
Yes, it was neither here nor there, that shot. It wasn't a cross, it wasn't a very good shot, and it goes well wide, like you say, John, but hungry for that second, Harry Kane.
As Højbjerg steps in and wins the ball for Tottenham in the centre circle. Home fans thinking that there might be a second goal here for them. Son carrying it forward. He gives it to Kane, left side of the area this time, through two challengers, bounces back to him as the goalkeeper comes out, and that deflected it wide and behind for a goal kick. Kane saying that the final touch was off either defender or goalkeeper, who all came together at the same time. Referee Madley says goal kick.
Kane finds himself, he bundles himself past Akanji and Walker, one-on-one with Ederson, tries to open out, but the goalkeeper makes a very, very good save. But all of a sudden, Spurs in the ascendancy, and Manchester City's recovery runs a 0.
Still Tottenham leading through the Harry Kane Tottenham club record-breaking goal.
It's quite a mouthful, John.
It was. I could have added 200th Premier League goal to that as well. City coming forward, and that's another foul on Jack Grealish. How many times he's won free kicks in this match alone, and this time it was Højbjerg who stepped in on this, who himself has conceded quite a number of free kicks in this match. But a free kick on the left-hand side. Lines open for 606 08 085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Hashtag BBC 606. Free kick for Manchester City. De Bruyne, right-footed from the left, curls it in. That's headed away. Comes out to Walker, just forward of the centre circle now. Bernardo Silva with the ball on the ground. Left-footed whip delivery into the area. That's headed away. Eric Dyer was there. Kulusevski battling for this with De Bruyne, and then Grealish got there just ahead of Kulusevski. Grealish caught again, down on the turf again. Free kick to Manchester City. That could be a yellow for Kulusevski.
I actually think that Jack Grealish is having to go to Stellini on the touchline, because he just seems to be getting fouled every time he gets the ball.
Grealish again runs into Højbjerg this time, but keeps the ball, then gives it to De Bruyne. He's gone down again. De Bruyne's crossed into the near post. That's headed away by Eric Dyer.
And that was a foul on Grealish as well, you know. As he lays the ball off there, I think it's Romero who clatters into him every time he gets the ball. They just swarm round him.
The two of them actually sort of collided with one another. whether that was a foul by Romero. I mean, it was off the ball as well. Grealish had already passed it to De Bruyne, and it'll just be a throw-in. I think Grealish actually collided with Romero, who'd sort of stopped in his tracks. So it's a throw-in to Manchester City on the left. And actually it was quite a forceful contact by Grealish on Romero, who's taken a little while to recover from this. Plus the fact Tottenham are winning 1-0, remember.
Jack Grealish has a little wry smile. He's just laughing to himself down the pitch with a number of fingers held up towards the referee.
How many fouls. But Manchester City back with the ball inside the Tottenham half. Tottenham 1-0 up, 5 Live World Service from the BBC. Listen to the live radio on BBC Sounds, where you'll be able to get the Football Daily podcast in the morning. Here's Grealish on the left-hand side. Kulusevski's chasing him this time, can't get to him. Grealish plays it square, and then Rodri. Here's Walker on the right-hand side in the orange boots, gets the ball under control, and the cross is blocked behind by Perisic. Corner for Manchester City. That's where the City fans are, down in that corner of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, all around the corner flag, and Bernardo Silva calling on them to raise the volume as Manchester City try to fight their way back into this game. De Bruyne takes it in, and the header is wide and high over the top. Might well have been Rodri who got to that, but couldn't direct it on target, and it's a goal kick to Tottenham and Glenn Murray. Less than 20 minutes to go now.
Yes, but as we approach the latter parts of this game, Manchester City just seem to be getting a foothold in it, pushing Spurs back, but when that happens, Spurs can be so deadly on the counter-attack, as we've already seen this afternoon.
More live football commentary coming up, by the way, on Sports Extra tonight, as Tottenham win a free kick in the centre circle. That was conceded by Grealish. West Ham against Arsenal in the WSL is on Sports Extra from 6:45. And the highlights, the TV highlights, will be on tonight on BBC One after Match of the Day 2, and read about it all on the football pages of the BBC Sport website and app as ever. But first, a chance to talk about it on 6:06. But 1-0 Tottenham lead, Glenn. Spurs will take this free kick actually quickly, right down the middle for Son to chase into the penalty area. Son uses Perisic in the full-back area, then back to Ben Davies. Davies clips it forward towards Perisic, back to Davies, who couldn't take the ball into his path, and Kyle Walker was able to clear, but only onto the chest of Tottenham. Hojbjerg now to the edge of the area. Kulusevski, he can't find a way through on the edge of the box, and Manchester City will look to break. Tottenham have got to get back, which is what Ben Davies is trying to do, chasing Alvarez. Now Bernardo Silva on the right hand side. He is shamelessly, blatantly tugged over. That will be a yellow card. Free kick to Manchester City on the right, and it is Perisic who is the latest Tottenham player to receive a yellow card.
I was actually going to say, John, City have lost 27 times to Spurs in the Premier League. The highest of any one club. Do you know who the other club was?
I'll answer that in a minute. De Bruyne will take this free kick in right to the back post. Ake pulls it across, and Romero got a foot to it, crucially. However, he hasn't cleared it, but Emerson Royal has. He's put it behind as it bounced to him, and the Manchester City players are saying, in fact 3-4 of them, running to the referee. Now, what have they seen in there?
I think it's a handball they've seen.
By Christian Romero.
Or they feel that they've seen a handball.
Well, VAR will be looking at it. It's Bentancur at the back post. Emerson Royal, well, on first viewing there, it might have struck an arm, but I think Emerson Royal's arm was down by his side, and likewise Bentancur, if it was his arm they're talking about. But Rodri is still talking to the referee with Hojbjerg. VAR have seen it and said that's the end of it. There'll be a corner.
I think VAR are right there. His hand was very much by his side in a natural position.
Yeah, not making his body bigger. And Walker tries a shot from 25 yards, deflected for Lloris, and then De Bruyne might have handled it as it bounced forward to Son. However, referee's playing advantage. Son taking it on, a step over, a left foot shot. Ederson goes down, makes the save. Kane gets there first, left side of the area. Kane then back to the edge of the box, chested down by Hojbjerg, shoots low and across the face of goal by a yard and wide. Goal kick.
And we were just saying about Lloris not happy with Son's movement about 15 minutes ago. This time he looks up and he's made that run right through the centre. He finds him, gets away, gets his shot off, but Ederson's equal to it.
Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0. 08 085 909 693 to talk about this or any of the weekend's football. Certainly plenty to talk about yesterday, as you and I were discussing Nathan Jones, weren't we, at half-time, as Robbie Savage mentioned during the break on 5 Live, that 08 085 909 693, as Ryan Sessegnon is going to come on for Tottenham. That will be their first change. Christian Stellini making the decisions, with Antonio Conte recuperating in Italy and not here today. Manchester City with Walker on the right hand side. Walker's cross headed away by Hojbjerg, comes out for Lewis, who is tangling with Kulusevski, and the ball is returned to Ake on the halfway line. So Manchester City start again, but we're now well into the last 15 minutes here. 15 minutes, well, it's closer now to 12 minutes plus added time to play. Grealish, Kevin De Bruyne, a lovely flick forward for Grealish to take it into the box, and Emerson Royal goes to ground, puts in the challenge. Excellent tackle, and actually played it off Grealish, and it bounced through for a goal kick. Grealish trots after the referee, but the referee's wise to that and just runs away to the halfway line. And Perisic, who was recently booked, is going to be replaced by Sessegnon.
The referees give that as a goal kick to Spurs, and I can't. I'm watching the replay and I actually can't still make my mind up, John, to be honest. After I've seen it a couple of times.
Glenn, he's got to give it one way or the other.
He has.
And in the end, he called it for a goal kick for Tottenham. So Lloris waiting to take this. Sessegnon is on. Whether that yellow card was a factor in that, or perhaps the fact Perisic this week turned 34 with a brilliant career behind him. But do you know, Glenn, age catches up on you as a footballer sooner or later.
It certainly does.
Tottenham pass it forward towards Bentancur. Haaland chases after this. Remarkable, really. It's one of those matches where Haaland, for all of our talk about him, he's not really had a clear sight of goal.
No, he hasn't, but Ake's down here. I think he's had the wind took out of him as Kulusevski just backed into him, caught him off balance and really took a tumble there. Nathan Ake, as he's down his haunches, just trying to catch his breath.
Ball was put out of play by Tottenham. Grealish, I think, came to get it, and as he came to get it, I think someone maybe in the front row, whoever had the ball, it's out of our sight, threw the ball, and it might, I guess, by the cheer that was given there, maybe hit Jack Grealish.
The fourth official's on the field now,
and the referee is going to go and talk to Jack Grealish. So maybe there was an exchange between Grealish and the Tottenham fans down there. So it's been reported by the fourth official to the referee, Graham Scott, and referee Madley has just had a word. That's it. Probably just said, just take care in those sort of situations, don't want anything silly happening. Grealish playing the ball forward, and now Tottenham have it back. Hojbjerg to Kane passing it forward to Son, who might have been just offside. However, he's in possession, plays it forward, it hits Bernardo Silva. So we'll now be in a different phase, won't we? So Tottenham playing it across. Hojbjerg making ground through the middle. Hojbjerg then passing it to the right-hand side. Emerson Royal, who's actually had a very good game today. Emerson Royal into Kulusevski, who couldn't find the pass back. It hit Lewis. Emerson Royal jumps in to win the ball back from Grealish. And Hojbjerg. Christian Romero then winning a throw-in off Kevin De Bruyne. Mentioned Emerson Royal, Glenn. I think it's been very impressive going forward and defensively, actually, with the pressure of competition from Pedro Porro coming in. I think he's upped his game.
Yes, it's surprising what he does. A bit of competition in the squad for you. Definitely one of his better Spurs performances this afternoon.
I noticed Matt Doherty, who's now in Madrid, was an unused substitute for Atletico Madrid last night. And Jed Spence played for Rennes, has started the match, although they did lose. Free kick to Manchester City, 10 yards inside their own half. Less than 10 minutes to go. 08085 909 693 to join in on 606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton as City find the pass to Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side. And now it's played across by Alvarez. De Bruyne on the edge of the area. Bentancur is able to step in, get a touch on that, crucially for Tottenham. Take it away from De Bruyne. He's played it up towards Kane. Kane's passed it forward to Sessegnon. Sessegnon up against Walker. The two of them together, shoulder to shoulder into the full-back position. Still Sessegnon on the ball. Tottenham only got one man in the penalty area. Sessegnon pulls it across. Kulusevski's in for it, but it's bounced behind. And I think they're saying that it came off Lewis's arm. It's bounced behind, so it's been given as a corner. Yellow card is shown to Ederson, I think, the Manchester City goalkeeper, who sprinted at the referee to say whatever it was. So that is for dissent. And the question is, should that be a penalty? Lewis, who was going down, sprawling down, Glenn, and it's bounced up.
Well, it didn't touch one hand, it touched two arms, didn't it? But I think it was contact from Kulusevski first, and I personally thought that was a free kick to Spurs.
Yeah,
and I understand why Edison comes rushing out to the referee.
He's saying that should be a Manchester City free kick. Spurs are saying that should be a penalty. It's a corner. Here it is. Son plays it into the near post. Edison gets a punch on that. Good punch, actually, under pressure. Back to De Son, who's dispossessed, actually, but the ball's bounced to Dyer, and Dyer turns and shoots across the 6-yard box. Haaland blocked it. This time, the referee's seen it bounce up, hit the arm of Son, and that's given us a free kick to Manchester City inside their own box. And going back to the penalty appeal and the penalty shout, you know, Lewis has collided with Kulusevski and fallen down, and he's using his arms to support himself, and it has hit both arms.
Yeah, it's never a penalty, never a penalty. As we see a couple of substitutions.
So Bernardo Silva, who's not been a regular starter in last week's, is replaced by Gundogan, and Tottenham have brought on that Bissouma who came on for Tottenham.
Bentancur?
Bissouma for Bentancur. Well done, Clem.
Oh, no, that's wrong, actually.
Yeah, Bentancur is still there. Yeah, Son it is who's come off. So he won't continue his run of scoring against Manchester City. Yes, there he is, walking round in front of the south stand behind the goal. All 4 occasions Manchester City have been here. Tottenham have won all 4 in League and Cup, and Son scored in all of them, but he won't score today. However, City have still yet to score in this stadium, and this is their 5th time here. And they've got now only 5.5 minutes plus added time, otherwise they're going to lose. Walker, forward, comes to the edge of the box, lifted across by Alvarez. Romero steps forward, heads it away. Rodri then nods it out to the left to Grealish, and he heads it back to Ake. Now Rodri has a look up, 30 yards out, takes it on another couple of yards, and then as the Tottenham players arrive, gives it to De Bruyne to his right. Long crossfield pass, Emerson Royal got a touch. Grealish into the challenge, it's bounced behind, off Grealish. Referee got a clear view of this one this time, points immediately and says goal kick Tottenham.
No arguments for Jack Grealish as he retrieves the ball from behind the goal, gives it to Lloris. Desperate for play to continue as his side trail 1-0 with only 5 minutes remaining.
So goal kick. Lloris will take this long as the moon just comes up above the stand on the far side. I don't think it's going to be a blue moon tonight though, is it? If it stays like this. But there is still time. I don't know about you, when I was watching Everton and Arsenal yesterday, in the latter stages of that match, I was thinking to myself, this is a real test of Arsenal again here to see whether they've got what it takes, whether they're able to come up with a late goal. They weren't yesterday, but Manchester City have done that so many times. And now Højbjerg stretching for it. It runs to Grealish though. Oh, lovely change of feet from Grealish. He was challenged by Christian Romero. It's a second yellow. He's gone. Tottenham are down to 10 men. A little foul. He caught Grealish, who was sent flying. A second yellow card, and Christian Romero is sent off. And Tottenham might not like it. They don't like it. They're objecting to the decision, and they're saying that Grealish made too much of that. But the card's been shown. And he has to leave the field. He's not doing that his teammates have got to get him off the field, and in the end he has to hang his head and leave, and that's what he's doing now.
He is, and it's a second yellow, but I've just seen it back in the monitor, it's 100% a free kick. It is a yellow card, and Grealish skipped past Hojbjerg, who came flying in, and right away we see Spurs making a couple of changes. I've seen as soon as that red was shown, Davinson Sanchez came back from warming up to get his shirt on, just to restore that balance at the back. And it also looks as though they're going to bring Richarlison on, as that could have changed actually. Richarlison's walking back to the bench, and
Christian Stellini I think has changed his mind, hasn't he? So Christian Romero sent off, so he'll be suspended for the game against Leicester next Saturday in the Premier League. And who is being sacrificed? Kulusevski, isn't it? Who is coming off with Davinson Sanchez replacing him and taking the place in the defence of the red-carded Christian Romero, sent off in the 87th minute. Now almost 88 played, so...
Yeah, it's a slow walk-off from Kulusevski, but do you know what? Now I'm looking at Spurs, and they're strong at the back, but they've got nothing going forward. They've just got Harry Kane, very, very lonesome. They've got no legs around him. It's going to be a very busy last few minutes for Tottenham Hotspur here.
And with the yellow card incident there, yes, Grealish did make more of it than he might have done, but he did step in, Christian Romero, and put in the challenge, and I think caught him.
De Bruyne hitting this.
Yeah, he is. This is 25 yards, a little bit more. It's a free kick. It's Kevin De Bruyne, but the referee has spotted something going on between Haaland and Davis on the edge of the box, so De Bruyne was just about to wind up and then had to step forward and start the routine again, which he does now. Next to the ball, steps back 3 or 4 yards. Up he comes now, right-footed into the three-man wall, which bounces back to the Belgian, who gives it square, and one of the Tottenham men, whoever it was in the wall who was hit in the face or the head, has gone down, so naturally the referee has got to stop play here, because it's the ball onto head, but it's still a head injury.
Is it, John?
Well,
let's see. I'm looking forward to seeing this replay to see if this does actually strike Hojbjerg on the head.
I think it deflected off.
I think it hit Kane on the head.
Onto him.
I think it hits Kane on the head more so, but I'm not sure if that's clever play or if it's bending the rules.
And it's not the first time I've seen this recently. In fact, did it happen in the Newcastle-Southampton game the other night?
I do apologise if it has come off his head, but you just question it sometimes, especially as you're ticking towards the last minutes, and you know, as a professional, that the referee has to stop the game in this instance.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Glenn, that the referees are in a position whereby, and actually in the Southampton match the other night, remember, the player concerned clearly was affected.
Yes.
And did rightly, and Paul Tierney had to step in and actually make sure that he was substituted.
It's just professional footballers being very cute. I think there was an instance in Germany the other day where the goalkeeper cleared the ball out of play, and then he got the ball off the ball boy threw it back on, so there was 2 balls on the pitch and it couldn't be played. It's professionals being very cute and knowing the rules of their game.
So 5 minutes of added time. Tottenham 5 minutes away from victory. Ball played in by Lewis, but Lloris is able to come and catch it. Lewis to Lloris, and Hojbjerg is back onto the field. He's okay. They've had a look at him. He's able to continue.
He had his arms outstretched before the ball was even played into the box there.
Ready to catch it. So Tottenham, less than 5 minutes. In fact, it's closer to 4 minutes now from what would be yet another win against Manchester City here in this stadium. Be 5 out of 5, and more significantly this season it would move them to within 1 point of the Champions League places again, and it would preserve Arsenal's 5-point lead at the top of the table. Here's Grealish. Grealish turns Emerson Royal, still going. Back it comes to Ake. Ake will play it across. Rodri, edge of the area, square from him to De Bruyne. De Bruyne now, he hits the ball into the area, headed away by Emerson Royal, comes out to Rodri. Rodri challenged by Hotspur, who, well, I'm not sure there's a great deal in that in terms of contact, but Hotspur went down, arms sprawling, flat on his face, and got the free kick.
He did, and he's been very, very good this afternoon, Højbjerg. A couple of cute bits of plays, made some third-man runs through the centre of the Manchester City defence. He's defended and ran, and I think he's been a real positive of this Spurs performance this afternoon.
Harry Kane's going to be the goal-scoring hero if it stays like this. A record-breaking Tottenham goal. We will hear from the managers during the 6:06 phone in on 5 Live, 08085 909 693. City coming forward, ball swept in by De Bruyne from the right hand side. It's gone all the way over here to the left to Grealish. Grealish plays it back centrally to Ake, hair flying. Ake now into the edge of the box to Alvarez, poor touch. And that meant that Bentancur could get back in there and nick it away from the Argentine. Still Manchester City again. Akanji looks up. Akanji's ball to the edge of the area. It's over the top of Haaland. Once again, Grealish. Grealish against Emerson Royal for the umpteenth time. Back to the edge of the box. Lewis gets a second chance. Ake plays it square but slightly behind Gundogan. Gundogan is able to pass it forward to Grealish, who lifts it in, and goalkeeper Lloris comes. And in the end, the final touch, I think it was Alvarez in there with the goalkeeper.
Well, I'm not sure about this here, John.
Rodri it was. The goalkeeper diving for it has caught the Manchester City player. And Rodri, I think this reaction from him, rolling around, hands on his face, I think he's suggesting that Lloris didn't get the ball and did get him, in which case it could be a penalty, but I think Lloris does get the ball.
That is a tight call. He comes flying out with his left hand, and with his trailing arm, he almost clotheslines Rodri. It's a really nasty collision from the two men.
I mean, Lloris has to go for that.
It's just a question if Lloris gets there first, and I don't think he does, John.
Well, that's a really, really tight call. I mean, Rodri is still down. VAR will be looking at this. So the key question is, as the ball is played in, lovely ball in actually, that Rodri
ball,
wasn't it? Rodri had to go for it, had every right to go for it. Lloris is trying to get there, diving forward, his arms sprawling. I mean, my feeling was that he did just get a touch.
Is it even being checked?
Oh, it will be, don't worry, we'll be looking at that.
I do worry after some of the decisions of late.
and you could be well within your rights to worry, Glenn, but they've looked at it and they've decided that Lloris did get a touch.
Yes, it was a nasty coming together there. Awkward, I would say, is the best way to describe it, but both men back on their feet and play is underway.
Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0, only seconds to go. 5 minutes of added time are almost up. This means that the top two will both have lost this weekend. Arsenal at Goodison, and now Manchester City here in North London. Grealish on the left-hand side. It's not over yet. Manchester City playing it square. Lewis, final seconds. It's got to go in the box. De Bruyne receives it. His cross to the back post. Headed away by Emerson Royal. Grealish, though, gets there first. Grealish, I think, fouled him. He did. And Pep Guardiola's furious. Goes skipping down the touchline, punching the air.
I mean, there's no need for the technical area, is there? He's actually on the field. And he's not happy.
That was a foul. He caught him. I'm pretty sure he caught him there. You're not so sure?
It was soft. It was soft in my eyes from a long way away. Just to cover myself.
Well, the fourth official, Graham Scott, is now standing in front of Pep Guardiola, in front of the Manchester City technical area. That's a poor clearance from Lloris. There is still time here. Walker is onto it for Manchester City. Walker passes it to the right-hand side to De Bruyne. De Bruyne up against Sessegnon. Tottenham have got two men in on him there. Bentancur too. Walker wins it back. However, it's bounced away for Tottenham. The 10 men of Tottenham, remember, since Christian Romero was sent off, and then the recovering Walker fouls Sessegnon brings him down and receives a yellow card, and Tottenham have a free kick, and that free kick will probably see out the match for the Spurs win.
Yes, there's a huge exhale of breath as Kyle Walker brings down Sessegnon there around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because these fans in here believe that free kick will tick enough time away to get them over the line for another big win against Manchester City.
Manchester City lost only 3 league matches in the whole of last season. And there's the final whistle on what is Manchester City's 4th Premier League defeat of this season. There's a yellow card being shown down there. Someone said something to the referee. It's a Manchester City player. I think it might have been Jack Grealish who was yellow carded because Ilkay Gundogan has stepped in. But for Tottenham, they've beaten Manchester City yet again. 5 times they've met here in this stadium. 5 times Tottenham have won it, and Manchester City have not even registered a goal here. And the hero today, the record breaker, the new Tottenham club leading scorer on his own, ahead of Jimmy Greaves, scoring that goal in the first half. Harry Kane, Tottenham 1-0 winners against Manchester City, Glenn Murray.
Yes, and it was a very good performance by Spurs. Game management once they went in front was extremely good, very structured. And we can see all the players down there and what it means to them as the Manchester City players trudge over to their corner of the ground to applaud the travelling fans, but they will be bitterly, bitterly disappointed, especially seeing Arsenal, their title rivals, drop points yesterday at Everton. And I really did expect more from this Manchester City performance this afternoon.
Tottenham ending with 10 men, but winning the match. And it's highly significant, particularly with Manchester City coming back to London to play Arsenal a week on Wednesday. Arsenal maintain their 5-point lead at the top. So a highly satisfying day all round in North London. Tottenham 1, Manchester City 0.
08085 909 693 606 is on the way in about 4 or 5 minutes time, so our time is limited, but you'll hear the live reaction. Nick Godwin is going down now to speak to the 2 managers. I tell you what, Glenn, if Pep Guardiola was angry after they beat Tottenham, imagine how he's going to be feeling now.
Oh, well, I mean, when I watch his team, they played some really good football this afternoon. It was one of their mistakes that allowed Tottenham to score the goal. I think I'd be disappointed that they didn't create more in the opposition box. That will be the one thing grating on him this afternoon. And obviously, like I've mentioned already, Arsenal dropping points and having sort of the door swing open, so to speak, and all of a sudden you're in a real title race and not be able to produce on the afternoon. That's what I'll be most disappointed about, but I'm sure he'll probably hold what he's got to say in those changing rooms, just in case he says something untoward and something that regrets, and he'll probably want to compose his thoughts after that performance.
Well, he might want to, but that's not, doesn't seem to be his style anymore, does it, Glenn? He's been much more open, much more willing to criticise his players, and I think it has raised a few eyebrows.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think it is fair to say that Manchester City doesn't seem the happy camp it has been for a number of years there. Yeah. There seems to be a bit of unrest. We put it all down to Cancelo, but even before this game there was things said, and I mean sometimes you feel as though you're reading into them, but yeah, I mean it just doesn't seem, even I was watching the way that City approached the game, and once they went behind there was no real reaction. Some of their recovery runs were questionable, and we only look over at Liverpool and we see what's going on there, and I just wonder if that's starting to creep in at Manchester City as well, and Pep has questioned certain people's hungerness, and maybe that goes throughout the squad and not just 1 or 2 people.
Just one more on City, Glenn, before I mention the team who've actually won today. I can hear it in your voice what I was thinking watching that second half, which is almost you don't know what to say about City, but something just doesn't seem or feel quite right.
No, it doesn't. I would like just to tell you now, Steve, that they're having an on-pitch interview with Harry Kane, and Not one fan's left, and they're all on their feet applauding their record goal scorer.
We might actually be able to hear this, Steve.
The greatest goal scorer in Tottenham Hotspur history.
Yeah, it's quite surreal. It's just a magical feeling, to do it here in front of the home fans, to win the game. It was just everything that I dreamed about. It's been spoken about over the last few weeks about me getting close, and I wanted to do it in a special place, and now we're able to do it in front of these amazing fans.
You picked the time, didn't you? You picked the perfect time. From being a young boy coming through the academy, rising up, and then we start seeing you playing. I remember the first goal and speaking to you up there just when you scored the first one. Did you ever dream, honestly, that it would come to this now and be the all-time leading goal scorer for us to football? Actually agreed that maybe it would have happened.
Yeah, I've been here since I was 11 years old, and a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, dedication, and I remember my first Premier League start back at the old White Hart Lane, scoring against Sunderland on a Monday night. It wasn't even in my fault to reach this target of goals and to reach 200 Premier League goals. So just a surreal moment, and it's hard to take it all in now. I'm sure when I'm a bit older and looking back at my career, it'll be something I'm extremely proud of. And my friends and family here, just incredible.
It's about 60,000 friends and family you got here, Harry. Have you been visualising how it would go? Because I'm thinking as you went past Cliff Jones and then Martin Chivers and then Bobby Smith and of course the late great Jimmy, have you been thinking about how it would happen and when it would happen?
Yeah, I think it's hard not to think about, but I just try and focus on each game as they come, and it would be a special feeling no matter where I've done it, but to do it in a big game against a really good side and an important moment in our season, just couldn't have asked for any more. So I'm going to take it all in and enjoy it and look forward to the next one.
Well, I tell you what, we'll just leave Harry Kane there because we can hear most of it, but I'm sure we'll hear from him in better quality. Harry Kane, who has broken the record today. Interesting, John Murray, nobody mentioned Jimmy Greaves' Community Shield goals there. I mean...
strange that, but, it won't be long before that will not be a factor. But honestly, so many people have stayed here inside the ground, are listening to that. All of the players are still on the pitch, coaching staff. Hugo Lloris is there. You can really feel what a moment this was for this club and for Harry Kane.
Yeah, you can indeed. It's actually a real poignant moment, and he just mentioned he's been at the club since he's 11 years old. His sacrifice and dedication, and it almost brings a tear to the eye because you can feel in the stadium it is a real emotional time here, and for him to do it at home in front of these fans that have seen so many of those goals is so special for him and his family.
Do you think he'll break the record, Glenn? What's he got? 3.5 years left to do it? 60 odd goals?
Why? 3.5 years? Why are you putting the time frame on?
Well, do you know what I'm doing? I'm taking his age and adding it up to roughly between where Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer were. Maybe he's got longer than that, but 3.5 years at his peak, perhaps.
I think he'll break it. Yes, I do. I think he'll break it. I think he'll break 300 for Spurs. I think he'll never be caught. Well, at least not in his lifetime. And just as that interview ends there, we see all the players run and jump on him, and they're all jumping up and down in a huddle, and it's so nice to be here for such a special moment, I must say.
And appropriately, John, the last question I wanted to ask before we go to the news and then 606 is about the fact that this conversation and this record has given us another opportunity to talk about the greatness of the late, great Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah, very much so. And actually, as you say that, Tottenham are playing out an interview with Danny Greaves, son of Jimmy, up on the big screen, and Harry Kane, who was mobbed by his teammates there at the end of the interview, was enjoying that moment, but then clocked the fact that Danny Greaves is speaking and has broken away and is now very respectfully standing in the centre circle, listening to that and clapping his hands.
almost a tear in the eye there of Harry Kane. Well done, Tottenham Hotspur. They've handled that, set that up absolutely superbly. So Harry Kane has broken Jimmy Greaves' record. Spurs' victory means they're only a point behind Newcastle, who are fourth in the Premier League now. Manchester City 5 points behind Arsenal, and having played a game more. Harry Kane is continuing to speak to the Spurs crowd. 6:06 is on the way. What a great story that is for Harry Kane. Loads to talk about. 08085 909 693. That's the number to call to speak to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. They'll be with you after the news with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sound.